Hello everyone, welcome to episode 18 of Cooking with Chef Aaron. Today, we are going to be setting foot in the continent of South America for the second time as we explore the country of Brazil. Now, this country was kindly requested to me by Tyler Berry. As always, thank you for your request. I'd like to give a big shout out to you, and I hope to receive more requests from other people sometime soon. Now, for those of you who have been following this show for quite a long time, you all probably know how I already feel about Brazil, because I did talk about it briefly a little bit in both episode 7 and episode 13, my Guyana and Costa Rica episodes. So this episode is going to take a more in-depth look at this country. Okay, so I'm going to start this review off by talking about the rural parts of the country. Now, I'll be honest, like I said in my previous episodes, I'm not a big fan of the country of Brazil because I find the natural atmosphere of it to be extremely muddy. Like in a lot of rural areas, you can see a lot of roads that are covered in like red gravel, and you can also see that they look extremely muddy, like even on sunny days, like not even on just rainy days, but also on like nice days, you can see that the roads are like really muddy, and and I don't think they really look that visually appealing, and the palm trees are actually very soggy as well, and they're also very like dirty and muddy. I just find that when you're sort of near the closer to the equator, like just south of the equator, it tends to be like more muddy, and it's more rainforest, and everything sort of looks all wet and muddy, kind of like that. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the cities in Brazil. I'm going to start off by talking about the most popular city in the country, which is Rio de Janeiro. Now, this city I don't think is really that interesting because it looks very similar to the cities I showed in the last episode of the United States. It's just a standard city. It's just a bunch of white buildings, nothing too futuristic, nothing too captivating, nothing that is really unique or classy in design that really makes it stand out, in my opinion. And also, as you can see here in the mountains over here, I guess you could say, you can see that the vegetation behind the buildings is a little dark, and it's also a bit muddy and wet. So now I'm going to talk about the second most well-known city in the country, which is Sao Paulo. And much like with Rio de Janeiro, this city isn't really very entertaining either, because just like before, it just has a bunch of like white buildings that aren't very captivating or futuristic or unique in their own way and their own design. Except there is one part that I like about this city. I do kind of like the bridge that they have in Sao Paulo, the famous bridge you see over here. But if we look at the vegetation once again, you'll see that there's a lot of dirt alongside the roads, and it's also like very it doesn't look very clean, I guess you could say. Yeah, I just don't like the natural atmosphere of Brazil in terms of its like vegetation or its roads. So now I'm going to take a look at the capital city of this country, which is Brasilia. And much like before, Brasilia is just a city with a bunch of white buildings, not very captivating at all, not very interesting in any sort of way. But much like with Sao Paulo, there is one part of this city that I do find sort of interesting, and it's this famous cathedral right here. And it is called the Cathedral of Brasilia. Okay, so to wrap up this review, I'm going to take a look at Salvador, which is the third largest city in Brazil. And much like all other cities, there's a bunch of white buildings that don't really look futuristic or captivating in any way, shape, or form. But unlike the other cities, this city actually does have a few colorful buildings, but even though they're rainbow colored, you can also see that they're a bit ratty looking, because you can see like some black scratches on the buildings right here if you take a look at these photos. Okay, so overall, I would unfortunately have to give the country of Brazil an R. If anyone from the States is watching this, here in Canada, we call it an R, while you guys might call a failing grade an F. Here in Canada, we call it an R. So, with all this said and done, let's head down to my kitchen, and I'll show you how to make the Brazilian moqueca. Follow me, please. Okay, so to start off the moqueca, the ingredients you'll need for the marinating process include, over here, 1 kilogram of haddock. Now, you can use any kind of white fish, doesn't matter what you can use. And over here we have some nice prawns that we're going to use in the marinating process as well with the fish. And over here we have 2 limes which have been juiced. and we have 1 clove of garlic, and we're going to get started right now. Okay, so I'm going to take my prawns right here, and I'm just going to pour them on top of here. And I'm just going to kind of spread them out a little bit just so that they're all evenly coated onto the fish. That should be good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my lime juice, I'm just going to pour it all over the fish so it's all evenly coated fairly. And here's our garlic, which we will use on top of here. And I'm just going to kind of spread this all around. And we're just going to let these marinate for 30 minutes in the fridge. Okay, so once your fish and prawns have come out of the fridge, they should look something like this. As you can see, they're all nice and juicy. And to continue the cooking process, the ingredients you will need include 1 clove of garlic, 1 onion that has been chopped, a teaspoon of ginger, 5 red chili peppers that have been chopped, and a red bell pepper which has been sliced to rings, 5 tomatoes which have been chopped, and we have some olive oil, and we have some salt and pepper to taste, and we have 1 cup of vegetable stock, and for garnish we have some green onion and we have some cilantro. Okay, so we're going to start by taking some olive oil, and we're just going to pour a little bit in here. That should be good. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take all my ingredients. I'm going to take my garlic. I'm just going to put it in here like this. And along with the garlic, we're going to put in our other ingredients. So here's our ginger spice. Here's our onions. Looks good. And here's our red chili peppers. And we have our bell peppers. And we have our tomatoes. And we're just going to saute these until a sauce is formed. Okay, so now once you've had all your veggies and your spices in for a while, it should form this nice sauce, and it's a very beautiful color. Okay, so now we're going to take our kosher salt and we're just going to spread it all around here, like that. And we're also going to season this mixture with a little bit of pepper. And doesn't this look beautiful? And I'm just going to stir it all in. And afterwards we will move on to the next step. Okay, so after you've seasoned your moqueca with salt and pepper, the next thing you want to do is you want to take this vegetable stock. You just want to pour it all in, like that. You're just going to stir this all in so it's all nicely incorporated, just like that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these tongs right here, and I'm going to take my fish, and we're just going to put it all in here. And we're just going to let this all simmer for a bit, and afterwards we'll move on to our next step. Okay, so once you've cooked your fish for a while, we're going to add the prawns now. So just like this, we're just going to take a handful of all these. These are all going to be cooked with the fish. Okay, so now after you've let the moqueca simmer for a while, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this cilantro. I'm just going to pour it all into here. And we're just going to mix it all in. And afterwards we'll be ready to serve, and I'll do a taste test. Okay, so we have the rice right here. We've cooked some rice, and as we're going to serve it with it, we're just going to pour it on top like this. And doesn't this look beautiful? Okay, so I'm just going to garnish this with a little bit of lime. I'm just going to squeeze a lime. That looks great. I'm going to take a little bit of green onion. I'm going to garnish it with a little bit like that. And I'm going to take just a little bit more cilantro. And we're just going to put it all in here like this. And there's our presentation. Okay, let's see what I think of this. This is really good. Tastes all the veggies in it very well. And I also like the very tomato-like taste that it has. It's good.